Oh my gosh, it's stream time. Oh my gosh, my voice is so hoarse. Okay, we'll get the timer started. There we go. Oh, I gotta do a big stretch really quick. I forgot. I have not stretched, and that's so important for drawing, especially hands and wrists. Very big thing for drawing. Oh, it's a quiet chat. Look at this beautiful void above me. So peaceful. Ooh. Okay, man. I'm dragging my feet on this comic page. I'm struggling, but I'm gonna try and get some more work for it. It's mostly the backgrounds that I'm afraid of. I'm a coward. I'll grow. I'll get better at them, but it's not that backgrounds are bad. I just get so caught up in them being correct. It's one of those leftover things from uh, going to animation school where it's very much like the camera angles and the perspective and everything has to be cohesive and line up exactly where it needs to line up, especially when you like do camera changes and stuff. And you should follow that in comics to the best of your ability. You shouldn't jump to a random location or you shouldn't remove a background if nobody knows where the characters are at. There's still hard rules of you still want things to make sense. But for me, sometimes I get too caught up in making accurate backgrounds to like film camera. Whereas in comics you can definitely be a lot more loose with it. At least so I've seen. So I'm practicing not being super retentive about every single camera angle and perspective thing. I'm also gonna fix some proportional stuff in here today. I was inking some things a while ago, and I was like, actually, you know what? This doesn't feel like it's working very well at all. Or at least now looking at it, I'm like, ooh, there's some things that if I could change, I definitely would. So I'm gonna. So I think that'd be fun. Especially the hips here. This doesn't work the way I'd hoped in terms of clarity. Yeah, my little mini window. There's like the little panels that I'm working on. Oh, it's my pencil so small. Yeah, it's mostly going to be quiet stream of me struggling to do line work and maybe some corrections for. Oh my god, what page is this? Page 11. Incredible. I'm going to do some small adjustments here. So I think if I was actually doing her hip, I don't want this to be here. I'm going to experiment a little. Her hip would be kind of leaning. Or leading. I gotta enunciate better on these streams. What's kind of fun about this is, well, the deadline for this is coming up, at least for me. I have a personal deadline for this. I've been trying to build back out buffer pages, but I went like a good few weeks without really drawing too much. And so the sketchbook, working in sketchbook, kind of loose, fun, not really super serious drawings was a good way to help me get back into just working. But now I'm at the point where I'm like, oh, I gotta be I gotta be doing the comic pages because my buffer still needs to get built out really bad before before my classes start. Mm, how do I angle? Angle important. Okay, first show leg. Leg forward, but not that forward. Oh, there's like a single hair on the screen of my iPad. The joy of having pets is there's something on here. I cleaned the screen before stream and it's still behaving weirdly. I love that. I might have to replace like my iPad nib at some point too. I think it's getting really worn down. Actually, no, so I think perspective wise, leg would be here, perhaps. Which leg is leading? Her torso's kind of twisted. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be the bane of my existence, isn't it? This is also the fun part of watching my workflow is seeing me collapse under the weight of why the heck did I design a pose this way? Because we have torso, we have stuff. This is, I guess, the fun mechanical part of when I sit and I'm thinking things through. So we have a torso. It's a box. And actually, it's the wrong angle. We're seeing a little bit of the top of the box with her shoulders. I guess this is a good time to mention, too, that some of these characters haven't really been revealed in the main comic. It's leading up to it. This is a... Oh, I'm not that far ahead. Oh my goodness. Why? My hockey selections are going too fast for my iPad to keep up. My bad. Um, I'm my comic. I'm guilty of starting the whole comic experience and doing that thing where everyone's like, "All right, if you're gonna start posting comics online, make sure you have an insanely big buffer." And I blew that like immediately. I also did the first 4-page release of the story because I was admittedly so excited about it, and I'm here to tell you that that's true. Don't start posting comics. Like, make your comic. Start making it immediately. And you could post little teasers and little progress things. But I'll say it right now. Don't post stuff that without having like a buffer. Don't post pages without having a buffer. It is nightmarish to rebuild it once you lose it. So that's part of the things that I'm working on towards the end of the year is trying to really zone in on having better buffer. Okay, so we have a box, and we have sort of the torso. I'm building a very strange resource for this box. Guess what? I don't like the box. It's going. And it's gone. Let me do this actually with cylinders. I don't know why I usually try and do boxes. I try so hard because they do give you a little bit more depth of like planes and stuff. But for the life of me, some days I just can't handle square. Square not for me. I guess I also forgot to mention, top of the order, is that there's chat commands. I went through and added some chat commands for funsies, and you can now do a small set of chat commands if you'd like. I'm trying to think. There's probably one that I can send to bring up the commands. Yeah. That link, if you check it out, should tell you all of the commands that I've added for the stream. If you're on mobile, I'm not sure how well it's gonna work out. It's a bit of a learning curve for all of us. It's definitely I started streaming and I had no idea what chat commands were. That's not something I had ever encountered. I was a very big lurker for a lot of Twitch or I mean even just other streams, but Twitch especially. I would definitely lurk on streams. And not really wasn't big on participating for a while because I'm painfully shy. Um, I enjoy being on my own and chilling out in my own way. So we have kind of torso. This is the crazy part about, like, wow, I'm actually building something and understanding things better in human anatomy. But yeah, the commands are something fun, something new. I don't really know how well they'll work for mobile users, or, I'm mostly tested through browser, so I apologize in advance if things get all funky. And I know some of them have, they use Whisper, which should send you a message directly rather than going to chat. So I'm not actually sure where Whispers end up on mobile as well, but they are there. If you want to use them, you can. If you want to be a lurker, there's a lurk command. If you want to do some fun little other commands, they're around, and I highly recommend checking out the commands list. There's more things I'd like to add for streams in the future. I'm very big in, when I watch a few other people's streams, um, you have to get to a certain point as like a Twitch affiliate to use like the built-in Twitch rewards, which I was like, I'll be cool someday. I don't know if that's going to be something super close in the future for me, depending on how all of this works. And also, I think once you become an affiliate, you have to start playing ads. Like, streams will be given, not really given. I don't know how to, I guess, forcibly tacked on to the beginning of streams and then during streams, which revenue is revenue. Companies have to make money. But ads become sort of a non-optional thing, even with ad blockers. So I'm not in a huge hurry to get to an affiliate status anytime soon. I think it's cool. I think it'd be fun, and I have ideas for what I would do for it. There's a lot of cool stream stuff that you can set up. But in the end, we'll just kind of see how it all shakes out. Now that I'm looking at this too, did I make her torso a little too short? Probably. Actually, I'm gonna cut out the arm first. I think that'll be easier. Because I don't want to grab everything necessarily. Yeah, well, I'm bouncing around attention-wise for stream. At least for what I'm working on right now too. This was a page that I'd worked on a while ago. I was part burnout, part just a lot of life stuff going on, where I had to kind of drop stuff comic-wise and handle some things. But now it was taken the first week of September to like do sketching, get back in the swing of just drawing. Just feel like I had really taken a hit of like not being able to focus and sit down and draw for a long period. I think it's also too where you just don't draw very often or for a long time, and all of a sudden like the drawing confidence is gone. I'm very much susceptible to losing drawing confidence and being like, oh my gosh, I can't draw anymore. What have I done? I've slacked for so long and now I can't even draw. And just like rebuilding that and getting up to snuff. And so these I haven't been able to touch for a while. And gonna try my best to get back in the flow of it. How does it feel to like, he's kind of been pulling her along this whole time. Oh, that's what I keep forgetting to mention too. New characters that you'll meet one of these characters in, I think, the next page release that's coming up on the 15th. Oh my god, I need to check a calendar. Yeah, oh my gosh, that is next Monday. So next Monday, you'll be meeting one of the main character's sisters, who is I'm doing this pose correction for right now, with just some really simple, trying to chew out a better pose. Because that's the part about, it's nice to step away sometimes, because I get some fresh eyes, I see some proportion and some posing things that I would like to try and improve, but I also can't get too caught up in that. I gotta go a little faster. It's also a big hurdle of mine. Does that feel a bit better? That does feel better, so we're gonna work with this. 'Cause don't get me wrong, this is nice, and I will try and preserve parts of this sort of previous sketch, but I think I'm also leaning towards doing some fixes the good old-fashioned way. Okay, but I'm gonna get rid of that for now. There seems to be, there's a sketch layer. Yeah, it's this guy. That we don't need. I do want this one to be kind of on. I'm also going to focus on fixing it. Oops, not that. Layer management. Nobody look at my terrible layer management right now. I swear I clean them up later. Another really big issue that I have though is part of live streaming was sort of the hope that I could get into a better workflow with it, but documenting progress. I am horrendous at it. I'm gonna get better someday. When that day is, I don't know. I'll let people know when it finally happens by posting actual progress videos that are edited in a nice and timely manner. See, now this is almost like an overcorrection. But I think I can work with this. Actually, no, I do want that to stay. I think that was the other thing too, is I was starting to feel like her torso had got a bit crushed. But I also don't want it to be like there does need to be a level of perspective here that needs to be maintained, that her torso's turned to the side. Oh, my pencil's still this way. I can fix that. Winnie's also not like, this character's name is Winnie. It's technically her nickname, but Winnie's not super scrawny. She's definitely a little bit more built out. Mostly muscle, but she's also very well fed, which is good. Lord knows for the next chapters of the story she's gonna need all the energy she can get, trying to keep up with what's gonna be going on. But ooh, tangent. Not the tangents. Anything but the tangents. Oh wait, I think I grabbed his ear. Now we're good. Thank goodness. I made it worse. It's incredible. Actually, wait, how is her head compared to torso? So I might be able to make it a little bit bigger. I don't want her to seem like she doesn't have a... Also, we could actually tilt her neck so she looks more tired. That might help a lot, especially with the tangents. My professors would be so proud that I'm thinking so hard about about beginner art tangents. Because I'm trying to think which teachers would be proud. Design ones for sure. I guess my animation professors would be like, we do not care unless it's super visible. That feels better. I think I could give her shoulder a little bit more. A bit more relaxed, but I think it could also be a bit more visible. This girl has shoulders. Gotta make the people aware that they exist. Yeah, this looks like an exhausted person being dragged to breakfast by their sibling. Okay. That feels better. Yeah, I'm digging it. I think it's the first time I've had a bit of a quiet stream, which in its own way is kind of nice. The the last stream on Thursday was actually really busy. That was fun, but sometimes I get a little overwhelmed. Also, there is the small paranoia within me, and I'm going to check right now, where I worry that something broke and it's like not actually recording anything at all. Okay, no. It looks like we're good. I do get nervous though. I'm also, since I'm testing out a few different things, I decided to see. I'm letting Twitch handle the VOD recording because I don't know, the stream cut out last time, and it was nice that I was recording locally to my machine at the same time that I was streaming through OBS, but I also wonder if that was the thing that tanked my connection in the first place. I wondered if my computer, my beautiful, sweet little laptop, couldn't take it anymore, because it does tend to get a little hot when I'm working on it. I'm hoping to have a better PC setup that has all my stuff um, in the future, but for now, I've been using laptop just because it's technically the most powerful device I have. I have a PC. It's not very strong though. It's decent, but I don't know how it would hold up for a stream. It's something I'll test in the future as time goes on. I also wanted to start working on giving little fabric details because I feel like that's also something I really neglect when drawing characters. These things don't really feel like fabric sometimes. Oh, okay, the auto zoom does start to drive me a little. I don't know if there's a way to disable that for procreate where it like auto zooms out. I think from either a gesture or some kind of tap response, it throws the window. I might have to go see. Actually, okay, I'm curious. That's quiet stream. I can do that. Let me see if there's like a zoom. Oh god. Rotate pinch with zoom. I don't think that's it. Smudge quick menu. Let me see what happens if I see now. I see. That I do need. That's I learned how to use that. Hmm. Yeah, I don't think there's a way. Oh, I can turn that off. Interesting. Okay. Dang. That's a bummer. There's also details that get hidden by, like, obviously some things are in the foreground and some things are in the background. This is one of those things where it's like, I could let it go. Obviously, there's some things that won't be seen here, but I'm gonna know. Sometimes, proportionally, it helps me figure out what actually needs to be there and not be there. I'm already losing, getting lost in the sauce. I'll re-ink this because I don't think it's particularly well inked now. Does that feel better? Her arm is feeling strange now. What's happening? Was it because she was missing an elbow? Does that feel better? Perhaps. So I might have just flattened out her arm a little too much. Arms have curves. Breaking news. If that was something in my previous tenure at art school, is that I actually gave characters too many curves. My teachers were baffled by the amount of curves. Like I would draw like an arm and it would be like muscle density on both sides. And they were like, "Why are you drawing these characters so jacked?" And I'm like, "It wasn't my intent. I'm baby." And it's true, I was baby. I had no idea what I was doing. I got better. I'm still getting better. Sometimes you'll see me draw characters absolutely jacked. And sometimes that is not my intent. I was debating doing VizDev for this stream. And I might hop over there if I start getting a little bored or like my eyes. I always say like my eyes are getting stale, where it's like if you start looking for something for way too long, um, then you're way less likely to notice mistakes and things like that. Um, oh, okay. This does feel better, and I think this is the part where it's like, yep, just gonna let this go. Just try and make it look nice the way that it needs to be. I think I made this a little too heavy. I need this girl looking like she needs espresso stat. Yeah, the eepy. Very eepy, very sleepy. And she does need to have a little bit of the ugh face. Just a smidge. Just a dash of ugh. Yeah, that auto zoom really kills me. I gotta see if there's a way to toggle that, but I don't. It seems like that's built in with the gesture control to like auto snap out when I do a specific zoom. There might be a setting for it somewhere, but I'm not gonna do that on stream probably, unless I really start struggling. It might just be that I'm going too fast too. I do a lot of things really fast in Procreate, and I do think I make my iPad freak out a little because it doesn't know what I'm trying to do sometimes. I've got all the hotkeys. I've got lines to draw. I've got places to be. Oh wait, yeah, her eyebrows are kind of round. I think I've made these a little too long already though. These might need to be a little smaller. She doesn't have long eyebrows. She's got kind of bushier eyebrows. We're not talking like wizard, but you know, they're roundish. So far, so good on stream connection, I think. Let me triple check and make sure. No, seems like everything's still running. Sick. My poor little laptop doing its best. I did want to test at some point unplugging it because I do know sometimes that's why the battery gets super hot is that it's charging at the same time that it's expending energy. So we're gonna test something because it's a quiet stream and I can. Oh boy, I'm unplugged. We're gonna see what happens. It just might help keep the temperature down. My apartment that I have right now isn't crazy hot. It can get hot, but definitely has some circulation problems. I'm gonna be moving apartments here in the next few months, which will also make things a little busy, but I'm looking forward to maybe finding an apartment that doesn't have such stagnated airflow. It's like really hard to get air circulating in the current space that I have. Oh, also, I should do a little VOD shout out. If you're watching the VOD, this video played back somewhere on YouTube or wherever you get your VOD content, wherever I've placed it. Hi, I hope you're doing well. Thanks for tuning into a VOD, and I hope you enjoy. It's just chill times. Whether you're hanging out, playing music on your own. These videos. Who am I kidding? They're probably gonna be silent. Copyright is a nightmare in posting VODs. So hopefully you brought your own music. You're all cozy. Either you're just chilling and watching the stream. I would honestly be really honored if people put this on in the background to like sleep to. Hopefully I'm not. I've been told my voice is kind of quiet. I probably could orient my streams to be even quieter. I don't think I'll ever do like an ASMR level stream though. That would stress me out. And I have my Xbox Live quality microphone that I'm using, which is definitely not ASMR material. Um, but maybe at some point, uh, I could do quiet streams. I was also debating because I have wonderful friends here in the Pacific Northwest who got me a Playdate console, like a game console. Um, the coolest thing ever, the coolest thing that I own. It's like my prized possession. Besides my dog, if like my building was burning down and I needed to rescue three things, it would be my dog, my iPad, and the Playdate console, which is legal documents should be up there, but my gosh, the Playdate is so cool and so fun that I think I would kind of throw it to the wind. Um, does remind me I should really digitize some of my documentation though, just so that way I could have it on my document stash of on the cloud. So then I could really just there's a fire and I'll be like, yeah, screw it, it's my play date. But it's a really fun little baby console. Not baby, it's not for babies, but I'm baby, and it's so small and little that it looks like a like compared to a Nintendo, it could be a little brother. But super cute, super fun, and it has the capability to screen mirror. They have software for it to allow it to mirror to your PC, so you can stream the games essentially. Which I thought honestly would be really cool at some point. I'm just a bad gamer. I like gaming. I'm just it's the same thing where I'm like if I had to do it would probably be if I did game streams. I would love to do Fields of Mystria. I got that game and I have not played it. I haven't watched anyone play it. I was very hyped for it and then I got really involved in this project. And I have no regrets on that front. But I would be playing blind, and I think that would be very fun. A Stardew Valley I think would be a fun like comfort stream if I just wanted to hang out and do some gaming to feel good and be a little mindless. I think that'd be really fun. I would do the playdate when it's like definitely hangout vibes. I would definitely want to show off playdate stuff because it's super cool. It's one of my favorite things ever. I love it so much. If Amy Mation, the wonderful Amy Mation, ever appears in stream, she was one of the contributors in my friend group that helped me get a playdate, and I'm endlessly thankful for it. Also, I didn't get it; they got it for me. She was an orchestrator in the group purchasing, the friend group purchasing of a playdate. Endlessly honored and overjoyed that my friends did that for me. It was really sweet, and yeah, burning building. That's in the top 3 things that I'm grabbing. So cool. I could gush about it all day. I'm not gonna, but this is the difference too when I'm working on line art or stuff where I'm like, this takes so long. I love sketch phase. I love doing all these things where I'm like, I look at the clock and I'm like, it's only been 40 minutes. How is this possible? How has it not been 2 hours already? It feels like it's taking me 2 hours. It's so funny when I'm like getting in here and I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta fix this line. And then I'm like, these are pixels. I am doing pixel art. I should not be worrying. This like if this zoomed out version here, I should be looking at that and not being like, oh my gosh, the lines. What have I done? I'm not following them. Nah, it's pixels. People are if people are getting up in here, that's them really looking, which would be crazy. I'm really excited. I think I've been telling myself that if I manage to get up to like 24 pages, or at least what feels like a healthy amount of pages, I want to do a test stream for sure, um, and have that be the next like tester of how things look. Hmm. Oh boy, we got a spammer. Hello, spammer. I'm gonna send you the shadow realm. Goodbye. We don't need no spammers in here. Get out of here. Much better. I know that they were saying, at least like I've been hearing across the internet, a few actual Twitch streamers who have this as their full livelihood have been talking about the recent crackdown on like VODs and stuff. I wonder it's mixed reports of how well that's been going. There's a lot of situational stuff that I definitely don't understand fully, but I wonder how that's all kind of playing into this stuff. I do know that there's the controversy that the ads on this platform are making it really hard for streamers to, like to keep people coming in because it's just if you're as a Twitch partner or affiliate, they have the ads rolling, and unless you're a subscriber, you have what is it, Amazon Prime, I think. Um, you have to essentially go to join a stream and you have to wait ages, like 2 or 3 worth, like ads worth of stuff, till you can actually even just get into the stream. And I think that is definitely a bummer. I've experienced it a few times where I'm like super excited to go watch someone stream, and all of a sudden I'm like locked out and watching a weird amount of ads just to sit in a stream. I get people gotta get paid. I know that some of it goes towards the creators as well, which is great. It's just, it's hard because it's like streaming is like a very in the moment thing. Where it would definitely suck if you're watching like a gamer who's trying to beat, I don't know, beat some kind of villain or doing some sort of community challenge, and then it's like you can't even get in. You miss the moment. It's FOMO, but like right as it happens. How does it feel to leave? I don't know. Once again, I'm doing pixel art. Oh, the auto zoom. Maybe there's a setting. It's a quiet chat. There's got to be some sort of setting that stops the auto zoom. Dynamic brush skin cursor gesture. It has to be under gesture, but it doesn't seem to have. I don't want finger painting. And I like the rotation, and I don't want to reset that. Gosh, if only there was a advanced. There's not really, unless there's. I don't think I have anything else set up that would do that. I think it's just Procreate, which. Damn, that's crazy. Well, I tried. Yeah, I'm never really sure how to feel about all the streaming stuff. And like I get the ads generate revenue, and I get that it goes towards creators. That's the biggest part where it needs to be going towards creators and their livelihood. And I think Twitch, for the most part, at least from my very limited knowledge, perhaps I'm wrong. Perhaps there's a big streamer out there who's gonna be like, "You're a fool. How could you say this?" But if compared to a few other platforms, it has been doing really well and was really well on that front up until they started doing all the ad stuff, and now there's a lot more complaints of like, it's great to get the revenue, but it's also really killing them because now that their viewers aren't going to sit around through like 2 to 3 minutes of ads and miss like jumping into the stream. I mean, if you're a dedicated viewer, then yes, but if it's like new people, you're trying to build a new audience, that does seem like it would be really rough. I am thankful that they don't do the ad runs until you become like an affiliate, but also makes me nervous that if I ever hit that point, then I'm gonna be like, now I have to balance out the fact that people might have to sit through ads and figure out the best settings to make it the least ad heavy as possible. Because I'd much rather just hang out and chill with people than run a bunch of ads and have that be a very annoying outcome of streaming. Oh, I'll say my only other gripe with Procreate, which I think you could probably figure out. What I was doing earlier in adjusting some of the line art is, say we have this circle, and we have a circle and we can move it around and it doesn't lose any of its quality, and that's great. As soon as you rotate it or try and scale it up or down, it immediately has like a drop in quality and it gets super fuzzy. Huge bummer. Very sad. Do not enjoy. Um, I found the best way so far to like make it not horrific can either be nearest neighbor or bicubic. I believe those are the recommended versions. I toy with it every now and then, but sometimes I get questions on stream of the things that I like about Procreate, or honestly, maybe no one's asked. I think I just go on rants on my own to talk about it. Um, but checking between those and seeing what feels like it actually, like, this is horrendous. I do feel like Bicubic does way better at maintaining some of the line quality. Um, and also, that is all of Procreate will be set to bicubic when you're doing this method. Like I could go between canvases and it'll still be like, if I copy paste something from here, some line work into this, into a different page, um, and that's set to like nearest neighbor, that'll apply to every canvas that you have, not just this one, which is also kind of strange, but it can be convenient too. There's a lot of trade-offs when it comes to Procreate. I still am Still am on the procreate train. I still enjoy using it. It doesn't feel so stressful to use sometimes as it does feel like when I interface with Clip Studio Paint. Um, but there are small things that I'm like, ugh, this drives me nuts. If I could just get a few of these things adjusted or options for them, that would be great. I do wish they had hotkeys built in a little bit better. I think they have it set up for keyboard hotkeys, but that works great for the controller that I use, where it's like I'm glad that they have the keyboard hotkeys all together that you can set up. But it does feel like they relied so hard on doing gesture control for some things that it starts to become really unintuitive for people who've been using tablets but wanted to maybe switch to like a Procreate iPad setup, where it's like it gets so intuitive gesture wise that it loses a bunch of other intuition points that I feel like people are more used to when they're doing drawing software and have different drawing setups. It's tough to say though. Everyone's got preferences, and I do enjoy this one. I'm one of those people who's got the controversial take of I really like doing, or I like having the layer limits. A lot of people are like, this is insane. Why would you have layer limits? For me, it honestly helps me crack down on like what exists where and labeling things and being like, okay, this layer is specifically for this stuff. Um, I am one of those people where if I'm left on a PC unattended, I will make a bajillion layers. I organize them, but there will be so many layers, so many folders. It's like absolutely nuts. It becomes one of those situations where I feel like a hoarder, but digitally, where I'm like, I need these layers, and it's like, no, I really don't. I can mash a lot of these things together, and it'll be better. So I like that I can. It sort of manages how big file sizes can get for you, and I personally enjoy that because I'm kind of I can get a little too crazy, and I sometimes need a little like safety rail bumper of Procreate being like, you have too many layers, and we can't give you any more with this size canvas. And me being like, you know what? I appreciate you telling me my limits and giving me a limit because I will pop off, and I will make so many layers. Sometimes you need them. Sometimes if you're doing like some really crazy render work, you're painting, like doing extreme digital painting, I definitely would say Procreate is not the best suited for strong digital painting. You can. It's just a lot. Um, and there's only so many layers that you can do. Like you might have to do iterations where you have like a canvas where you do so much work in it, flatten it down, and then continue to build on top of it in a new canvas. Um, there's like so many workarounds, especially with compression, like making sure images are compressed in a certain way. I was very adamant when I started this project in my head that I wanted to make sure that things were organized in a way that I would have stuff for printing, I would have stuff for posting, and I would have stuff like legacy files essentially of like the Procreate files where I could pop them open and get back in there if I needed to in a way that felt manageable. So like having the file sizes not be absolutely gigantic. It's also a plus there of like I can save those and not feel super bad. And they're not absolute. They're huge. They're not huge, but they are big. I think they usually run up somewhere in like the 100 megabyte. Oh God, whatever the 100 MB. Like I don't think I've ever had anything bump above 200, but I could totally be lying. Just kind of depends on what file it is. Um, and that's still a decent. That's still a chunky file. It's not. It's not in the gigs though. That's the thing of like, I would have Procreate files in school where it was just gigs of gigs worth of layers, and sometimes I did need them. Sometimes I was storyboarding in Photoshop, which is its own certain kind of magic that's totally possible. But my God, um, do you make some whoppers of file? You make big files. It's kind of insane, honestly. Absolutely nightmarish. But yeah, that file management for this was really important. Of like storing media that I make for this project in a way that I could go back to and like, especially with physical printing, something that I really want to do in the future. Those have to be a really specific file type. Usually, it's recommended to be TIFFs, TIF, TIFF files for printing. I think it might be TIFF, but TIFF is it'll get you there. Um, those are super high res images. Usually they're up in the higher millibyte, megabyte, whichever. Oh my gosh. I will Google that. Or maybe not Google. I'm not a big Google user. I will research that on the internet and get a definition and figure that out. But MB size. Usually it's under a gig, but saving those out and then having like high res JPEGs, low res JPEGs, and like the watermark versions of things. Not that I anticipate people like other artists being like, "This is my work." I anticipate AI doing that. So it's not really like a. I always feel bummed to put watermarks on my stuff, especially with trying to just like start a community and hanging out with people and being like, yeah, here's my stuff and sharing it online. Because it's not that I don't trust the majority of artists out there. There's some really cool folks, like not even artists, just people, like people viewing it, people who are artists seeing it. Like it's just the AI stuff is so rampant, or like having it be reposted to different areas can be really stressful. Oh, whoops. Does this feel better if I perspectify his ear a little bit? In a weird way, it doesn't. It's almost worse. But that's not good either. Hmm. Whoa. Sir, why are you doing this? Oh, I was a fool. Um, yeah, it's always kind of a bummer. I really don't like putting watermarks on my stuff, but I do feel it's necessary when I'm posting on social media in the event that it gets reposted somewhere else and nobody knows where to find my stuff. And that makes me really bummed. Um, so if you ever see watermarks on my things, know that I didn't want those there either. It's just kind of the name of the game, unfortunately. Hmm. I'm looking at this on a big screen. It does sort of help me. Poor Winnie. I also think I made the top hair poof a little too much. I'm gonna chuck this because I feel comfortable not having it anymore. No, wait, that was the wrong layer? Or was it? No, this was the right thing to delete. Why did I make her elbow line so thick? Genuinely, I don't remember what I was talking about other than ad revenue and watermarks and file storage management. I guess just backing up my stuff, having it being in certain ways, and some likes and dislikes about procreate. That's sort of where I was. But now I'm going to segue out of that topic and jump into a different one. What that one will be, I have no idea. I will say I can't stop thinking about a video I was watching earlier today. Because I'm taking a Japanese class for one of the semesters of school that I'm doing. Um, and I've been watching like a few videos of just like people who are natively speaking Japanese, sort of like day in the life videos, but it's also like one of them was like a couple in a minivan. I think the channel was called like Minivan Life. Um, if you get curious out there on the internet, so you can go find it. Um, but I was watching it, and it's just like Japanese cars are already so small. Like you've got like K cars and like super tiny, like you've got vehicles that I'm like, this is like feels like to me the little toy cars, the little tyke cars. You'll see them. They have like the yellow roof and like the red body, and they're meant for children. I think primarily in the U.S. and Europe they have these like tyke cars. Actually, I don't think this makes sense. I can just get rid of this. Yeah, that feels better. And I sit and I look at those. What layer did I? What am I doing? What layer was this? I feel like I fully still goobered it. Oh, I definitely goobered it. Yeah, I deleted the wrong one still. What is happening? What did I do that for? So this was the old layer. Yeah, I'm a goober. That was definitely not supposed to happen. Or at least now I can fix the thing that I was messing with earlier. Um, but I can't stop thinking about this couple in this tiny little, like, it feels to me like a little tyke car, but it honestly is such like it seems like a very peaceful way of living, of just like driving around in this little minivan style car. And they have it set up so it's like their beds are kind of like they have a setup for their beds, and they have like a kitchen setup and everything. It's kind of insane. Um, but I'm also was kind of thrilled because I'm like, this looks honestly really fun. Oh my gosh, my laptop battery is low. We're gonna plug that bad boy back in. My Oh, I wonder if that was actually affecting screen latency. I think it was chopping up my Bluetooth connection. Oops. Well, hopefully that resolves that. Oh, sorry, computer. That was probably very mean of me. And sorry, stream. That was hard for you to watch, but the battery feels so much better. Oh my gosh, it does not feel like it's frying an egg anymore. I'll have to I'll have to see if there's a balancing act between charging my laptop during the stream and not, and trying not to fry an egg on the back of my PC when I can help it. Here's again though. I should check outright it once more, making sure that my stream didn't crash. I think we're good. I think we're hanging. Still vibing. I will say, it says there's one viewer in here who's been here for a while. So whoever you are, if you're a lurker, thanks for being here. If you're a bot, this means nothing to you. Hey, if you are a person and you're just quiet and chilling in the background, thanks for being here. Happy to have you. Hope you're well. I'm gonna get back into doing pixel art for a comic page that's definitely not pixel art. But that's where I'm at right now in life. I think it was the first time I banned someone too. I genuinely, my first stream, I think I also had a bot pop in to do whatever bots do. And I genuinely didn't know how to ban them. I was not prepared. Do I want to see what this looks like if I shrink his head? I might. I've been sitting here looking at his head and being like, why are your head so big? Is that a problem that I can fix? Oh, I snatched his weave. That's okay. I brought it back. Everything's fine. I love when that happens. The hotkeys that I have on my controller, sometimes the button setup is a little bit close, or like my brain is going for the right button, but it just kind of gets lazy along the way and hits the button that's closer. And I shouldn't do that. Yeah, his head is too big, isn't it? I could definitely cut that down and have it feel like he's not a bobblehead. To what end, though, I'm not sure. I designed Grek, this main character, as a goblin. They're a little bit, or at least the species of goblin that he is. There's multiple species in this story. Um, they're usually pretty scrawny. There's other species of goblin that are definitely a bit buffer and a bit I don't, it feels weird to say meteor, but that's just kind of like how they're built. Some of them are built for winter, some of them are built for just like different climate types. And so his specifically is more like jungle forest, but like almost tropical, like not good in the winter, but it's just like very limber, very lean. And so his neck sometimes I have to struggle between like making a neck that looks realistic for people, like regular human beings, and a neck that doesn't make him look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Um, like there's that balancing act of there's something in here that seems really weird. Um, and you have to sort of find that zone of like, how do I not make him look like a bobblehead? Is it the neck or is it the actual proportion of his head? It drives me nuts. It is one of those things too where, um, in designing these characters, Greg is the main character who I love the most, and I drew him one time, like his very first initial design. I drew him once, and I was like, "This is it. This is the perfect design for this character." And I knew for a fact I was never going to be able to draw him that way ever again. Like it, I'm oh, the struggle I have to maintain consistency with characters is painful. It is so hard to manage to consistently draw a character in my mind. Other people have told me that it's they're like that's the same character. You're fine, which I appreciate. It helps me go less crazy. But in my mind, there's certain design things where it's like there's characteristics that I nail, but it like never looks. There's some people who can draw a character from all angles, and I'm like, yeah, that's you could make this in 3D in your mind. And I'm like, I can make these characters in 3D in my mind, but I can't draw them that way specifically over and over again, like the same way twice. And sadly, Greg is affected by this. I think other characters I do really genuinely well with. I probably should just redraw over this layer since I shrank it and Procreate ate the quality a little bit. Or do I care? If I zoom out and I look at this and I'm like, do I want to do pixel art? Yeah, I do. I'm crazy. I like doing pixel art, I guess. That's where I'm at in my life. I'd like to scoot this down, please. There we go. I'm just gonna merge your hair in because I've done damage. Oh wait, no, I need to. Sorry, dude, I gotta cut off your head. Like you can just see the pixels where it changed. Because the rest of his body's technically like, look at this beautiful resolution, and then it gets all soft. I don't know. Maybe you actually can't see it on the stream. Maybe I am crazy. I'm probably a little crazy. That's fine. Um, yeah, this is fine. I'll figure it out. But yeah, Greg is one of those characters. He's my fave little guy. I love drawing him to bits. When I did his initial viz dev, that was the thing that drove me absolutely insane, and it's still kind of. I'm redoing all the viz dev. Mentioned in previous streams, but I uh deleted all of the viz dev files that I had, like the viz dev procreate files. I accidentally chucked all of those because pros and cons about procreate is all the files live in-house if you're not careful. If you leave them all in the app and don't store them anywhere else, if you go through and are doing big select delete sections in the gallery, your procreate gallery, you can accidentally select stuff with your arm or your fingers if you're in a hot space and you don't intentionally select it, but the gesture control of swiping your hand around grabs something and delete things that you didn't really realize were selected. I would say if you're very big on not accidentally deleting things, definitely don't get Procreate, or at least have the system where I have the file manager application on the iPad. I built out my own folder section for like folders and files on the iPad directly. I built a directory. It's essentially a clone of Procreate files, all organized out. Where it's like I have my comic pages, my sketchbook, my VizDev folder, any assets that I'm making, for like the website or for specific things. Um, and I essentially go and I save the file out. Like you have to share. I don't know why iPad and like Apple OS is so big on sharing instead of just save. I mean, because the files are auto saved. Like I could be working on this and it's saving like every few seconds. Going to gallery is like essentially a big save. But yeah, if you don't build out a secondary directory of like, oh, you have backups of these files, like you essentially have to make a backup folder for yourself. If there's any tip I could give that's really important about using Procreate is use the file manager application in the iPad OS. Don't be afraid. It's kind of a pain to use, but once you get used to it, make a backup directory, save your Procreate files in there. It's also kind of nice because you can clean out your Procreate gallery once you have all that stuff sort of like backed up and living there. You can share and replace the files in Procreate, and then once you know they're in the file directory, you can just delete them from Procreate because you can re-import the Procreate file from the file manager. So you can also you don't have to like double up on everything. You can treat that as like a treat it like you would a computer operating system saving setup of like going into your files and opening it from a thing, but it's just importing it back into the Procreate application um, and working from there. Work on it, save it again, and then you can remove it as much as you want. Some things live on here locally just because I'm working on them and I know I'm going to be working on them, so I just leave them in here. But I know if I ever hit a point where I'm working on something really heavy, I probably will just kind of boot it out of Procreate, but make sure it's in the file manager saved directly onto the iPad. More Procreate tips that nobody's really asking for, but I definitely would say if you're somehow seeing this, do that. It's really really helpful. If I was trying to be like a big YouTuber, being like pro tips for art, and being like hacks for Procreate, that would be the biggest one. Because it's not even like a hack. It's just like, hey, are you an artist who doesn't like to lose their stuff? Save your stuff in different areas other than Procreate, because it was murder. Not bad. It's again, if I lost comic pages, I would have been 10 times more bummed. It would have been so tragic. Because I feel like comic pages are the one thing where I really don't want to spend time redoing stuff like this. It's a lot. But VizDev, I was already like there were some things that I just done a different character, who is also coming up in the next few pages, past this one. Her name's Avangrid, and she's a dwarf, and I had just done her head turnaround, and that was essentially right afterwards. I was cleaning out a bunch of other old files because I've been trying to condense down again and doing proper file management for this project. It's very very big for me. So I was like, oh, as soon as I get more than 10 pages in, I should really evaluate that stuff, and I did. And I went through and I culled a bunch of things and I condensed a bunch of files down, um, made a better sketchbook setup, and then I was going through and I grabbed all the stuff, deleted it, and I just finished all this other stuff in VizDev, and I realized that my it was like 2 days later that my VizDev folder was gone from Procreate because I am a lame-o and I selected it on accident and just deleted everything. So, yeah. The nice part is I get to redo all of that now. And I still get to struggle with the fact that I can't draw Greg the same way twice, or just in general ever. I can get him approximately. He's got his defining characteristics, but there are some moments where I'm like, this doesn't look the same as the last drawing, and it's gonna drive me insane. And one day I will draw him, and it'll be perfectly identical, same guy. You'll know it. You'll be like, wow, did you 3D model this? And I'll be like, no, I used the power of my mind. I could 3D model things. I would need to use Blender. That's one of my friend is a Blender wizard. I have Blender wizard friends. I had someone in college who was constantly like, you should learn Blender on top of Maya at the same time at school. Like, you should be doing this. And I'm like, man, I don't need to do that. And then I got out of school and I was like, man, I should have been doing that. That's insane that he was so right. Um, Like I think about it sometimes. I'm like I could get ZBrush or I could get Nomad Sculpt and I could do all these things. So like I could make it in 3D and I could use that to a degree. Like I could put my degree to work. I could do the animated facial expressions and rigging and character stuff, and I could go ham. But part of me is also in doing comics was that like I can do all of those things and it's really fun technically speaking. But I just want to spend time just roughing it. It's a weird way to say it, but it's one of those things where I sit there and I'm like, yeah, I could make this like the best thing ever, but it almost feels like wasting time trying to do something so um I guess like preparatory, like trying to prepare for something so much. Even in doing the viz dev, I would get really frustrated because I'm like, I could just be doing comic pages instead of doing this. And there are certain moments too where it's like, no, I need to sit down and figure out what outfits look like, what certain props look like. And it was extremely helpful to have like character head turnarounds. Like I still have Greg head turnarounds because his face is kind of squished like a pug sometimes. You rotate him to the side. He's got like his most goblins of his species have these sort of really pointy angular noses. Some of them are round, but they're very wide set. But their faces from the side are pretty flat. Like their nose profile doesn't stick out super far. Um, it's got the point, but it's not like his the bridge of his nose is. And a lot of other goblins in his species don't have like hugely angled noses. Um, some, it's not a standard characteristic. Uh, I was glad to have those head turns to work on those kind of things. And I will be remaking them. I'll just be sitting there the whole time being like, why does this not look the way that I had hoped it would look? Why does it look so strange? Yeah, you do got your gums. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna color those later, because this is tiny. I can make this smaller and make my pixelated life easier. There are some moments though where I'm like, yeah, this looks exactly the way I wanted it to. It's just the thing of like, I'll go to a different panel. I'm like, it looks the way I wanted it to, but these two iterations of this character don't look similar enough to me in my mind that I could say with certainty that I'm happy with how it came out. Like I'll always just be like a little bit like I could have. There's something that could have been done on my end to make these look more cohesive, more consistent. But at the end of the day, I'm one person trying to make a webcomic in the world that is the way it is right now, and I don't have time to sit there and be like, man, I wish. No time for wishing. I gotta just make things happen, and sometimes that means using proverbial duct tape and getting in there and being like, yeah, this looks janky. Do I have time to fix everything about this? No. I gotta fix the biggest problems and move on? Yes. Big pro tip. Things don't have to be perfect. Just in general. Might feel like it, but it doesn't. I'm gonna hopefully look back on this 5 or 10 years from now and be like, wow, I was so young and I couldn't draw things the way that I can now. But man, am I glad I stuck with it. That's the real dream. I'm gonna see if my laptop's trying to light itself on fire again. Oh boy. That's toasty. That's a warm laptop right there. But it is charging, so that's nice. Gonna make sure my stream didn't blow up. I guess one thing I wanted to talk about too, it's not really stream well it's stream whatever. It's my stream of consciousness. But not really ARAT. ARAT. I actually gotta figure out how to say it. I always say it in my mind. The abbreviation for this story is a rose and his thorn is shortened down to ARAHT. And I have friends who say it in their minds kind of like a screech, like a rah, like a bird almost, or like a. I think Amy says it like dinosaur. She had mentioned it briefly. She's like, this is like a dinosaur screech. Um, Pterodactyl, that's the word I'm looking for. And in my mind, I've always just been like, ARAHT, like a Victorian man being like, wow, ARAHT. Um, but I think I just need to say like ARAT or AROT. I gotta figure out between one of those two what's I think AROT with like a heavy U sitting in there somewhere. AROT of like lowering it down feels better. Or I could just say the whole name and not be like goober about it. A rose and his thorn. It's not a rose and his thorn related. What I was thinking of, now that I've thoroughly sidetracked myself thinking about pronunciation. What I did want to talk about is that it's my older brother's birthday. I wished him a little happy birthday earlier today. But it's always a little tough because my attention gets so split by a bunch of other things. I haven't really been able to get home and visit family in a little bit. Just again, the state of things. I'm in the Pacific Northwest. They're out more towards the east, the middle, Midwest, middle states in the U.S. And I do want to get back at some point soon. I haven't seen family in ages, and I really want to. But it's my older brother's birthday. My younger brother started high school, I think, a few weeks ago. Now that the passage of time has occurred, it feels like there's a lot going on. But if my older brother watches this, potentially either is watching or watches the VOD, happy birthday! I love you and miss you. I'm excited to get back out at some point soon and visit family. Just hasn't really been a good time. Also, financially, it's just flying home would be a kind of a nightmare, but I do want to be there, and I miss everyone. I was thinking about that a lot today, where it's like, dang, I have not been traveling at home, traveling back home and visiting. Not because I don't want to, but just there's just been a lot. But I hope I can sometime soon. I also have a dog. Sometimes that makes it really tough to travel. There's all those like harebrained ideas of like, man, what if I just got a plane ticket and like went somewhere right now? And I'm like, no, I have a tiny dog. Do not work that way. And for anyone who's like, just take the dog, I can guarantee you he would hate it quite a bit. He would be okay, but he would be very upset about it. I think when I first brought my dog home, he came from like I required flying him home back here in the Pacific Northwest with me. Um, and he honestly was a champ for the flight. He did amazing. Uh, it was just one of those things where he wasn't like barking his head off, but like I could just hear him whining the entire trip and like shaking under the chair. Like he was just so tired, and he had like rubbed his nose um, against sort of the fabric on his little kennel, the ones that fit under the chair. He's a dachshund, so he wasn't like in a weird way his body was built for being in low tunnels that are sort of what are the undersides of plane chairs. Like it wasn't that it was super hard on his body, but he was just so stressed the entire time that I just felt absolutely awful. As soon as we got home, I was like, dang, my guy. My friend who came and picked me up from the airport it was super early in the morning. She brought pumpkin bread. Um, and I was so touched by the gesture, but also I was like, come here, buddy, you need some pumpkin bread. And he got just a little. I didn't want to give him too much sugar, but um, I think about that every now and then. I'm like, oh man, spontaneous adventure, flights, or doing those things. I'm like, I don't think it would work out super well. I would potentially board him. He's not super great with other dogs. He's got very strong boundary issues. Not boundary issues. He's just got strong boundaries. Really like playful, energetic, especially big, energetic, playful dogs. He is like not about. If you put him in a room with like a bunch of senior citizen dogs who could not care less about other dogs in the room, he is so happy. He's perfectly content to not interact in a playful manner with dogs ever. Like that's his thing. He's like, as soon as someone starts showing some energy or like some unpredictable chaotic behavior, he's out. He doesn't want to participate. He can be kind of like he'll nip because he just gets so stressed and freaked out of being like, why are you jumping around? I feel like you're gonna attack me. I'm very afraid, and I'm very wary about putting him in situations like that. Um, and so I always am like, boarding him seems like a maybe possible idea at some point if it's like an emergency, but it's preferably not, just because I know sometimes they do group settings, and it probably would be a little hard. There's probably some boarding places that don't do that. Um, also, again, it does cost a lot of money, and these days nothing is cheap. In fact, everything's kind of crazy. Um, so we'll take it as it goes. Someday I'll get back home and visit in the specific spot in the Midwest that I would visit too. One of my favorite things to do when my family, like just when we're all hanging out together, depending on the season. It's usually the fall though, at least for the visits I've done in past years. Was we would watch sort of the fireflies. They come and go. I think it starts really heavily in August. Usually like the first few weeks of August is when they really start coming out full force. And then like all of August, it's pretty intense firefly behavior, which is honestly really beautiful. I really love that part about the Midwest. As when you get in areas with fireflies, it's so pretty. It's so relaxing. Um, that's like one of my favorite things to do with my family is just like go out and get some peace. It's like it's can be kind of a nice moment too, where it's just like none of us are on our phones. We're all kind of just meandering around out in outside backyards or wherever we're at. Um, Pulling over, like we'll pull off on little back roads, and there's little like either like farm or small like shrub nature-ish ditch, like Midwest ditches and those kind of things. Like there's little areas where there's abundant fireflies, and we would just stop out and kind of look at them all. Those are like those little peaceful moments where you're like, dang, I love this moment, and I'm gonna save it in my brain forever. Oh man, now I'm a little homesick, but it's okay. I'll get back out there someday. And yeah, it's my older brother's birthday. Happy birthday. September 9th. Absolutely wild to think that's already September too. Whoa. I mean, I started streaming in September, but like I feel like a few weeks ago it was like May. Oops. Please don't delete my. No, no. Stop. Stop this. Stop this nonsense, Procreate. I know I'm moving fast, but don't delete my eraser. The drama of it all. Yeah, I do feel like the months have been going so fast. I had like an original thing of like there's a lot of life stuff where I pinned this deadline, like a hard deadline in August of like all of these plans that I had. And plans changed, of course. That's just how life works. But I like lost a lot of like momentum and energy for certain things. That was also, and then all of that stuff really collided at the end of being like, there's all these things going on right now that you need to handle. And I was like, oh, geez, okay, I'm going to figure these things out. Um, so now that it's like August is over, and it was like one of those things where like I had a hard deadline at the beginning of August, and things changed so much. I was like, part of my brain, I think, was also dealing with the fact that I changed it up and that things were very different, and I had to sort of rebuild some momentum for myself. And also remember that this whole project, I think I, starting out, treated it sort of as like a sprint. Very, I'm very good at the procrastinating and then doing really well under the pressure that I give myself of like, oh, a deadline's happening. I need to do all this right now. And I really excel under pressure in that sense. Um, and that's what I was doing from like February to August. And then August hit, and I was like, plans changed. My deadline that I made for myself for parts of this project have changed or had to be extended, and then my brain was like, oh, your deadline vanished. Your momentum is shot. I was like, dang, that's a bummer. Getting back into the swing of it has been very tough, but I am glad to be trying to do it and making it work. I am really hoping that I have sort of this strange plan of how things are going to be looking. Part of the strange plan includes going back to school as a full-time student, um, and extending some of the time that I can work on this. Um, for like, there's specific circumstances and things. You just gotta trust me when I say that it works out better to do that. Otherwise, I would need to be picking up like a full-time or two part-time jobs of trying to make all this stuff work. But I managed to figure out a way that I could just do full-time student instead and take like 3 classes for this semester and see how that feels and not have it be. I mean, it's not. It's still expensive. I won't lie. That part's not fun. There's a cost, but it's still. I'm essentially paying for more time to work on this project because it's still less time working on classes than it would be a full-time job um, to continue working on this project. So I've got until like December until I need to reset and once again figure out all this stuff. But now I'm like, not. I'm trying not to totally destroy myself in trying to meet a fictional goal that I create for my workflow and what I do. Because it can help you. Like I locked in for February. From February to August, I was locked in. I still did fun stuff. I wasn't like a complete hermit. I still would go and hang out with friends. Endlessly grateful for that. I truly probably would have become a hermit if left to my own devices. Because I was in it to win it. Um, it's one of those things too where it's like I managed to get so much faster. I'm so much better off now from all the experience that I've gained in like working on this. And my setup's smoother. I feel really confident about how I'm storing files and maintaining things and all of that good stuff. Like I feel very strong in how I did a lot of heavy lifting for complicated things up front, especially for physical printing someday. I do feel like that was a step where I was like, I cannot ignore this. I'm so freaked out that I'm gonna go back and half of what I worked on is gonna be unusable for making physical prints of a comic. Um, I'm so much happier, but I had those moments where I'm a very slow worker, so I would get really disheartened by like, oh my gosh, think time has moved so fast, especially February and March. I kicked myself a lot, even though it was still like a necessary phase. It was a lot of like story ideation and script work, and like trying to create a better understanding of how these characters would operate in storylines that I was thinking up, and also how storylines would affect the characters and how I needed to adjust certain things to make it feel like a fun story to listen to. Um, that took so much time. It was really hard, and I don't regret all of it, but I do regret the fact that I let it sort of run itself into into a system of like I was just so focused on being like I've got to get this right when I was writing, and the truth was is that I really could have just started instead. I mean, obviously, I'm in doing comics. Don't listen to everything I'm saying. You got to find a workflow that works for you. I'm very much loosey goosey on ideation and having like a very strong but also flexible sense of like where the story is gonna go. Like I don't have all of the script pages figured out for this necessarily like for the first chapter. Like I'm still changing dialogue, I'm still changing a few things. There's actually something that I was debating of like um removing an entire character and replacing it with a different one that would change sort of a character dynamic within sort of like a family setting. Like this family unit here in the beginning that I introduce. There's so many things that I'm thinking of, and there's part of those moments too where I'm like, I'm still glad that I started working on the pages themselves and doing character stuff and doing, writing for the script, and trying to see what works and what doesn't work and how things feel. Because it's like now at least I get a chance to test stuff and figure out what's working and what's not working. Like I do, and I get to see results. I get to see how comic pages are looking, what the style's looking like, how much I need to simplify things because I'm making them too complicated. I love the lighting in some of the previous pages I've done, but oh my god, why did I do it that way? Have I don't know. I wish I did. I wish I knew. Because I really went ham, and I don't think I needed to go that ham for the lighting. It took so much time. Um, semi regret that of of dumping a lot of time into doing lighting for some reason. Um, when in actuality, I really should have spent my energy probably in just getting things done and working on flat coloring instead. Um, why is these layers? I put them on the same one, and I don't want them to be that way anymore. Because I don't need these guys necessarily. I'll keep them because there's sometimes these are the parts where I'm like, I've got little trash layers in here. I throw garbage all over the arena. Um, I need to watch all of It's Sunny in Philadelphia. I'm guilty of only watching part of it. Because I'm bad at consuming media in a normal, non-binge worthy way. Um, but my layer management of like all of these little bits of like, I don't want to delete this in case I need it. Because granted, I'm just working off of sketches right now, and that's kind of insane. Also, yeah, her head is tiny. What am I doing here? What was happening when I made this sketch? Whee! Don't worry. I'll save you from tiny headitis. Your noggin. That feels... because it's... Wait, where's my little sketch pencil? I'm gonna switch to blue, because that feels better. Her cranium is... So I had to locate cranium. That, yeah. She needs enough room for her brain. That's I think about that pretty much anytime I draw a skull ever. This is some art teacher or some person who gave me that wisdom of being like, hey, where's their brain? Did you leave enough room in there for a whole cranium? A whole noggin? Make a circle. Find the noggin. Evolution didn't get to where we were for me to not draw a full skull existing underneath a head and hair. Um, I do this a lot too, where it's just like checking proportions of like if these characters are side by side, are their heads about the same if you put like the crowns of their heads together? Measuring up like the circumference of their skulls still feel a little bit small. And then of course checking back with the body too. Of like, okay, does that feel better now that it doesn't look like she has a tiny head? Yes. But it's also not her body feeling too tiny as well, now that her head's a lot bigger. But I do think that's accurate. I also have this thing where he has his bag and it's resting on his chest in sort of it's a crossbody bag. Well, it's a little messenger bag, if anything. But where it sits. Oh, my dog is awake. But I cannot address him. Otherwise, he will ask me for dinner, which he already received. He's got his bag, and it kind of needs to sit. Yeah, that's too high. Oh, I do want to not this guy. New layer. I think it needs to sit kind of over here. He's kind of crouching though. This is the fun part. Look at me figuring out bag strap logistics. I feel so powerful. The power of messenger bags. Because I can't forget it's there. But also, yeah, his torso. I don't know what I think if I knew where his other arm was supposed to be going. It's just a little bit taller than his mom, which honestly, I'm not even taller than my mom. I'm short. Nobody at me. I'm little. Just a little guy. Yeah, I don't think I really planned it out of like where his shoulder's sitting. So I want him to be kind of leaning down, kind of trying to accommodate sort of the height difference. I do find it funny that I think something that I'm gonna be highlighting in the future with like future art posts that I make on social media of that the two main characters in the story. I mean, I feel like the cover kind of showcases that there's obviously a size difference between the two, just because they're two different species of humanoid. Like the goblin species that Grek is, and just being like just a regular human guy for Cassander, is that Cassander is obviously he's honestly freakishly tall. I originally designed him to be like under 5 foot, but like high 5 foot, so like 5'7", 5'8", and I had a wonderful critique come in from a valued party being like, why'd you make him so short? Because my valued party is freakishly tall in a wonderful way. Love him to bits, but tall, very tall guy. And I was like, you're right. Let's make him taller. And I stuck with that for some reason. Um, I don't regret it, but I'm like, these characters. It's funny to me that the height difference between Grek and Cassander is so dramatic. Um, but then you have like Grek with his family, and they're all pretty short because of the type of species they are. His mom, who's his adoptive mom, technically, his mom and his sister, um, adoptive sister, they're the like Hobbit species, I guess, in this universe. Um, and so they're not a huge difference, but like he is taller than his mom. He's actually kind of unusually tall for his species. But he's actually pretty regular between like the the hobbit species and the dwarf species that's in my world, my little world that I've made for them. And so I think about that every now and then too, where it's like he's taller than his mom, and then he goes out of the world and he's like, everyone here is absolutely huge. And not that he hasn't met tall people. There are definitely tall people in his sort of his family collective group that he's a part of. He's in a caravan where there's tons of people of all different species. And so he's aware of that, but there's just moments where I think it's just like, wow, at least there were other smaller people. Like there's a good amount of smaller people um, who aren't like super tall in the group. It was very well balanced, but he's going to be going into a world where it does feel like everyone's freakishly tall because it'll be a primarily human and elf dominated space. um, but I did want it to be the thing of like, oh, my growing boy. So he's just a bit taller than his mom, and his dad's a shorty. His biological dad is a shorty, which I also find very funny. Greg is sort of the weirdly tall person in this whole group, at least in his family. Um, I should say that there's other tall people, and then wait until you meet another character who Winnie is going to be interacting with a lot. She's taller than Cassander. And since Winnie is shorter than Greg, it is an even bigger size difference, which I will have to figure out how to draw those two characters in frame. Um, that'll be real fun. But yeah, this feels about right. I'm still not super happy with the bag. I think I need to bring the bag in front just a little bit. No, I don't like it that way actually. Good thing I can change things. Nothing's set in stone, my guys. Change stuff. Make things different. It's okay. I always keep thinking about that too, where it's like, man, if I could just give myself any one bit of advice in starting this project when I was like back in February, if I could just be like, hey, just start drawing. Just draw so much. Make and I did. I made I guess I maybe someday I'll show it on stream, but I had these proto pages essentially of like how I wanted the comic story to start. I wanted it to be like this really dramatic, heavy backstory. Like, I don't know. It's something that maybe I'll do for future editions because I do want to showcase some things of that story in the past a bit more of like how things kind of got to the way they were. Because there's definitely a prelude, a prelude, yeah, like I would almost say prequel story involving a lot of the world and what kind of Greg and Cassander as characters, I guess, like best way to say it is like walk into, like they really aren't trying to chase down the story in this. Like they very much were just living their normal lives and get dropped into something. um there's a prequel story where I had all this big dramatic stuff, and I just was like, wow. And I did like 20 rough layout pages, like sketch pages of that. And I got through all of it and I did corrections and I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this. This is really boring and really hard for a new viewer to get into. Like, it's just a lot. And it feels like I wasn't getting to the part that made me excited, which is having two characters meet. And also, it's a romance story. Like, why was I starting it like this really? And it was not romantic beginning. It was very sad. It was like a bummer, a bummer intro of just like 20 pages of drama. And I was like, actually, no, we're not going to do that. And I'm going to start with sort of a cliffhanger and then work our way back to it through some fluffy setup stuff that didn't feel super crazy. Like all of this stuff is, I think we've got at least like a 5 to 6 more pages of not super tense, just setting everything up. And then things are going to start to very quickly go off the rails. Which I'm very excited about. I can't describe how excited I am to just take everything off the rails and go ham. And that'll be fun. But for now, I gotta actually do the thing that I say I'm gonna do and write the comic story stuff and get it done, get it fixed, and the way I want it to look. So one thing I do like about most of these characters, I like and also dislike, is that there's a certain roundness to them, especially with Greg's family. Like Winnie has like these really poofy, not like she has like pinchable cheeks. Like if I was a grandma, I'd be like, "Oh, these are pinchable cheeks." If I was a grandma, I'd pinch your cheeks all the time. Cause look at that, she's got like this big curve right here, and like this facial structure is just so poofed. I enjoy that a lot of like yeah, especially even here where it's just like I'm just gonna squish your face real quick. I'm just gonna squeeze like a stress toy because it's just like soft little squishable faces. Um, I love drawing me an angular character who's like, cheekbones that are like really strong or having like strong jaw lines. Those are really fun, but there's nothing quite like having a little face that you could just pinch. Oh my gosh. My 2 hours are almost up. It's one of those things where I'm like, oh, my 2 hours are almost up, and it makes me feel like I'm saying I'm like in stream jail or something. I'm like, ah, yeah, I got my 2 hour sentence in stream jail. That's okay though. I think I am enjoying streaming though, because it does give me like a 2 hour thing of like, no, I need to sit down and do something. I'm very bad at working at night. There's a certain point in my day where I sort of just clock out and I'm like, I don't want to do this. And I'm like, actually, I need to. I really should to get things done. It's been really helping me figure out how much longer I can push myself into the evenings of like not driving myself to exhaustion, but just being like, how much more can I do this if I have something forcibly locking me in? Gotta lock in because I have to. I mean, if I was really not feeling it, I would definitely cancel stream and let people know via like social media. I mean, it's a quiet stream right now. In its own way, I'm like, yeah, I could just drop off of a stream and not do it one of these nights probably, but I would feel mad guilty for myself because it's mostly what I'm doing, these projects and the stream and all this stuff for is just for me to have fun. The story, well, maybe not the comic. The comic is partially fun, but it's also like I do want to do this for a living. I think that would be really cool to be a comic artist, and I would really like that. Um, oh God, how do I draw ear things for this? Actually, you know what? I'm not going to. It's a comic. Who cares? I have that thought every time in my mind where I'm like, oh, this doesn't make any sense. People are gonna look at this and be like, what the heck? And I'm like, no, people are not gonna look at this for more than like 5 seconds. Honestly, people watching me finish comic pages would probably be the longest time anyone's gonna look at them ever, is actually watching me make them. Versus like when you read them, I'm very guilty of it too, where it's like I take maybe 5 seconds max to look at a page, and then I'm immediately like, all right, what's the story? I want to read what's next, and I'm reading all the speech bubbles. I have moments where I take a book that I've a graphic novel or a comic that I've read, and I hold it and I go back and I force myself not to read the bubbles, and I just look at the art. I sit down with my brain like Clockwork Orange, and I'm like, actually, don't read anything, just look, observe art, if you will. Oh, actually, her hair loopy is not that thin. I sketched this out thinking Cassander hair loopy. He's got really thin hair curls, but she's got a chunky curl. Really heavy, and it goes behind her ears. So whoop. I like most of this. I want to bring this down a little bit. Bumped it out a little too far. Oh, I forgot to. I should, for the sake of the VOD, I'm gonna do a command. Oh, but no, the command's a whisper, I think. So I think I'll just have to drop in their name, but for the background music today, which you won't be hearing because it'll be a VOD, but if you want to go hear it, because it's very peaceful and I really like it, I was listening to a group, I think it's a duo, called Yellow Cherry Jam. They make lo-fi music, and it's really, really good. If you can, go check them out. You can now see on the screen that's their name. You could type that in places on the internet and find them and go support their stuff. We've got some really chill music. That was what I was listening to during the stream. Since it's a VOD, sorry, you probably won't be hearing it because copyright is tough. And it's totally fair because artists need to be compensated for their work. But if you're looking for quiet, chill music to listen to, highly recommend. Support artists. That's my big note for the end of the night, I think. So I'm gonna start wrapping up here. And hey, I mean, I at least made some corrections for one part of this comic. That feels a lot better. Line art takes time. And then the background is going to take even more. I don't even want to think about the backgrounds, y'all. Oh, someday. There's going to be a few pages coming up where it's going to be really, I'm going to have to just do gradient color backgrounds and like a little bit of texture in there because I'm at my limit. I can't keep doing these textured or full render like lighting and these really crazy heavy backgrounds. I'm at my limit. I can't do it anymore. I will. I'll keep doing it, but at what cost? My sanity will be the ultimate loss. I think one of my favorite things about these panels though, and like this little section of pages, is that I get to draw I get to draw mom. I get to draw mom hangout time. Where the characters get to hang out with mom. And I'm like, that's rad. Because I hate to say it, once these pages are over, we are not going to see mom again for a long time, but she'll be okay. She's just going to be really far away, so it'll be tough to tough to see her again until very later. Probably towards the story's end. The first story, at least what I'm tentatively calling the first book, it probably won't be until the first book is over that you get to see this character again. Man, my style, I'm excited to see how much it's going to change over time, where I'll finally get back to drawing these characters that I'm doing now, and it'll be like, oh wow, it's been a while. I used to feel like really scared or like a lot of dread thinking about the future story. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna look back at what I'm working on in this moment right now and be like, ugh, it's so bad. But I've been thinking that less and less lately, because it's like I'm usually just so excited at being like, man, how far can we go? How far can I take it? I guess we being me from right now and then me in the future. Like, how far did we get? I'm so curious. Maybe that is something that might help you think about and contextualize your art stuff as well, maybe. Or if you're not doing art, just projects and stuff that you're putting a lot of time and effort to grow a skill in. Like, man, just thinking about the future, I don't know how people don't get excited about the potential of what could be, especially when you really love something and put energy into it. I just get so hyped from like, man, if I keep going, it's gonna be sick. Wait, what kind of shirt is she wearing? She's got like a, oh yeah, she's got, uh, how do I communicate that? I guess color is gonna have to carry most of this one. I cannot wait to go make some food after this. I'm gonna have to walk the dog. Walk that dog. But gonna make like a soup. It's gonna be delicious. And then I'll probably have a chill night because I am tired. This was a lot. And I feel like I was talking maybe honestly a little too much for a live stream. This is also, I have the secret fear where the way I set up OBS for live streaming, I want to make sure that it's not, because copyright can be such a pain. I'm really hoping that it didn't accidentally record the music into the VOD. I'm pretty sure I set it up the right way, but there's those moments where you sit and you're like, it's. I always have that brain thought of like, did I leave the stove on? But like for random things where I'm like, I think about it so much, where I'm like, I might have left the stove on, and I think about that sometimes with the VOD as well. Like, did I actually separate the audio threads correctly from OBS? Did I really do it the way that the streaming gods intended? I don't know. We'll figure that out. If there's no audio, there's no audio. And hey, if you miss the stream, you miss the stream. All these nuggets of wisdom and old ramblings like a wizard in a tower mumbling to themselves and the thousands of birds that live in there. All gone. Kablooey. I do feel like that a little bit. I'm like a old wizard in a tower being like, back in my day, I used to use Photoshop, and there's just like, just birds and quiet magic going on in the background of me doing something. But it's just chill. And there may be just one person in here, but, you know. Actually, wait, is this one person still in there? I guess so. Weird. I actually wonder, maybe, I wonder if that's the bot and it's been a quiet stream this whole time, in which case, honestly, kind of rad. Let me see if this does something. Hold on. I'm messing with things. Just because I'm curious. No, give me the answer. Give me the answer I'm looking for. It still says one viewer. Okay. Thank you, random citizen, if you're not a bot, for staying in here and hanging out. It's very chill of you. Very rad. Perhaps all my ramblings are for naught. If I accidentally recorded the music into the VOD, you might be the only person who hears any of this, because my music will get censored really bad from Twitch and or the other websites that things go on. Oh my god, why did I break her hand? Not broken, just liquefied What did I... There's bones in here. I can find them. Yeah. Hmm. No, there's something weird in here. What did I do? Oh, I think I made it too... This is... Hmm. Yeah, this is old wizard behavior right now. What did I do wrong? There's bones in here. Yeah, it definitely feels like old wizard. There's bones in here somewhere. I keep thinking of Worthy Kids. If you haven't seen Worthy Kids stuff like Big Top Burger, highly recommend you go check that out. It's one of my favorite things ever. Um, but they also did like a mini short animation about this wizard, like wizard ale, a wizard who's making a secret ale on a secret mountaintop. Um, his voice acting just goes so hard, and I love his music and pretty much all Worthy Kids content. I'm like, yeah, sign me up. It's so fun. I love it to bits. But it's such a specific accent where it's just like, I brew my secret wizard ale on my secret mountaintop, and I think about it a lot. That's constantly in my brain. If I'm not thinking about wizard ale, it's not me, dog. You should go. You should make sure I'm not a clone of some kind. If you ask me on any given moment, what are you thinking about? And I don't say like Worthy Kids Wizard Ale, I'm lying. Something's happened. Something I'm call somebody. You gotta go check that out. Men in Black. I don't know. Something's happened to me. It ain't me, dog. It's funny that that's one of my security questions in my mind. I'm like, if anyone's trying to figure out if it's really me, if it was like a clone of some kind, one of my top things would be like, what are you thinking about right now? Like, what's in your mind? If one of the answers that I say isn't Worthy Kids content, it's not me, dog. It's a clone. Something bad's happened. I'm gone. I keep forgetting her little sash that she's wearing in the other shots. She's got a little. It's a sash for sure. It's sort of like a makeshift belt, I think, but also might just be there for fashion. I don't know. I don't design outfits with too much logic in my mind. That's my downfall. It's my secret cap. I don't know how to design outfits. Oh, 3 minutes left of stream. I'm so close. But every second I crawl closer to having a finished comic page that's gonna be due soon. Due next week. Yeah, I really gotta grind on this, y'all. This is. If you're watching this in the future, I really hope I don't push back my date because I fumble this. I gotta jump on it. It's sketchbooking really did help. It really helped me get back in the swing of drawing. But now I'm like, ugh, comic pages. I don't get to be loosey goosey fun anymore. I could be. It doesn't really work in comic pages. I'd have to be drafting a new layout. That's when I can be loosey goosey again. Oh, this guy and his curly hair. Love him. My god, why did I do this? Oops. Alright. Looks like it's a minute left of the stream. So I'm gonna wrap up for the night. I say as I do a curve on this hair thing one more time. Nah, we're done. Gonna let auto do zoom do its thing. Honestly, I'm happy with what I did. I did a little bit of line arting for other stuff earlier. More yesterday. This morning was kind of a wash creatively. There was a lot going on, but I'm getting there. Slowly but surely. I'll get these last two panels done, and then I'll jump into backgrounds, and everything is gonna be scary, but I'll get it done. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in if you did tune in. I just had a blanket that I hung up to dry fall down in my room, so that scared me. Oh my gosh. Wow, I have adrenaline now, but everything's okay. How did that fall? Oh, that's whatever. I'm gonna head out. I gotta go fix this blanket situation. Thanks so much for watching. If you're watching the VOD, uh, crazy that you made it this far, but thanks. It's really, really cool. And I'll see you guys in the next stream. Bye.